Well, welcome everyone. My name is Lori Rubin. Happy to have you join us with us today. This is a special webinar featuring Cathi Nelson, and she's the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. She's dedicated to helping people curate and protect their memories with professional guidance and tips through the Photo Managers program. She's also a very accomplished author of several books, including Photo Organizing Made Easy, Going from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed. And I love that title, by the way. She'll be giving away this book to 20 lucky winners today. That'll be announced at the end of the presentation. And Mylio is excited to partner with Cathi and the Photo Managers to offer one-on-one expert professional guidance through the concierge plans to help organize, preserve, and curate your photos into your Mylio Photos library. Mylio Photos offers several plans, and I know Cathi plans to show you a QR code that she'll be sharing with you a little bit later there. But Cathi, thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you with us, and we're looking forward to hearing your advice on this very special topic on how we can secure our legacy from a pro.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Welcome. Yeah, very glad to be here. Hello, everybody. I see some familiar names in the chat and many that I don't know. And so I am going to share my screen. Why you might really need a photo manager. Somebody wrote that title. I thought that's a funny title, why you might really need, but we know it's not why you might, what you probably really do. So today we're going to talk about some of the agenda today is why most of us are drowning in photos. So if you're drowning in photos, you're not alone. You can raise your hand. It doesn't even matter if you're a professional photo manager who are on this call. Some of them, I'm sure they're going to raise their hand as well. What are the benefits of working with a professional photo manager, from helping you save time to securing your legacy? A personal story of a photo book I just had completed by a pro who actually happens to be on the call. Some tips on how you would manage 100,000 photos, which is not as crazy of a number as it used to sound. It used to sound like we probably could up that now to a 250 or 500,000, because most people do have 100,000 photos at this point. And then some special offers at the end. So it's worth hanging in here with us until the end of our presentation, including the books that we're giving away. But, let's talk about the statistics, right? Photography has come a long way since its invention and has become an integral part of our lives. With the rise of smartphones and social media, taking photos, as we all know, is so much easier than it ever was. The number of photos taken every day is actually staggering, thanks to the fact that most of us now have a point and shoot camera, which is almost as good as the digital SLR we might have paid a lot of money for 15 or 20 years ago, in our hands at all time. So here's some numbers just to see if you can get your mind around it, right? 1.81 trillion photos are taken worldwide every year, which equals about 57,000 per second, or 5 billion per day. More photos were taken in the last 2 years than in the entire history of photography before that. Facebook is still one of the largest photo sharing platforms, with over 350 million photos uploaded daily. Over 95 million of photos and videos are uploaded to Instagram. Now videos is becoming another big part of this, right? People share close to 1 million hours of video daily. I noticed that because those of you, my kids love to send me little videos now, way more than they send me photos. By 2030, around 2.3 trillion photos will be taken annually. So I actually went into ChatGPT and I was curious, because I can't even grasp this. What does that mean, right? And so I thought, well, how far would that reach to in the solar system? It actually told me it would go outside of our solar system, or it would be 5 times to the sun and back if you just stacked up all the photos that'll be taken by 2030. So pretty crazy numbers, right? But you know what, when we're talking about that, we're not just, what I'm here to talk about too is not just the crazy number of photos that we take every day that are digital, but most people, and if this sounds familiar, also raise your hand, have boxes and bins and drawers and photo albums full of the printed analog photos from their childhood, from their parents, their great grandparents, right? They have slides, they have negatives, and all that needs to be curated and digitized for the future. And we'll talk in a little bit what I mean by when I say curated, because we don't want to pass down the same mess that we have physically and just turn it into another mess digitally, right? Along with those boxes of analog photos are family home movies on many inaccessible formats, like who has a VCR or a camcorder anymore? So all of that is really important in part of your legacy that needs to be digitized. Add that to kids' artwork, old newspaper articles, letters, meaningful memorabilia from the past, and suddenly you can begin to grasp why you might need help from a professional photo organizer. So let me introduce myself. As they mentioned, my name is Cathi Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. We are a global educational association that offers classes, an annual conference, professional certification. In fact, I just certified our first member from Portugal 15 minutes ago, and a supportive, engaged community for the growing field of professional photo organizers. I'm also the author of 2 books, Photo Organizing Made Easy, going from overwhelmed to overjoyed, and a business roadmap for professional photo organizers, everything you would need to know to grow and start a successful business. So that's my formal introduction, but really, let me tell you a little bit more about who I am and why this is so important to me. I've been using this quote for 15 years since I started this because I always felt like this was a great way of saying it. There have been great societies that did not have the wheel, but no societies that did not tell stories. And what I mean by that is I believe we are a people of stories. As human beings, we've been telling stories since the beginning of time, right? We told it orally, cave drawings around campfires, then the written word came out. And then when you put a camera in our hands, suddenly we became visual storytellers. And while it can be really daunting to imagine writing your story down, much of it has been documented through photos. I really believe our photos, videos, anything that we share like that tells the stories of our lives. And what that means is that's our connection to family. It's our connection to friends. It's a connection to the past. And it's a message to the future. But if your photos are completely disorganized, right? If you can't find the photos you care about because they're lost in a digital sea of data or in a box, you can't tell those stories. And I really believe all of us have a story that matters because it matters to you, your family, and it's going to matter to generations to come. So how satisfying would it be if you could gather all your photos, both your analog and digital photos, and organize them into a system that could help you find the ones that you really care about? Then you could create slideshows and photo books or all sorts of things. And instead of handing down a random collection of unorganized photos to future generations, wouldn't it be great if you can add in the details? And so just so you don't think you're alone, here's a really fun little cartoon that we are right now facing the greatest wealth transfer in our history. Over the next 10 years, it's estimated that over $3 trillion of durable goods will be passed from the boomers to Generation X. It's a lot of stuff, right? And in all that are histories and stories and photos and things that really matter. And so, like, how many of you can relate to this? This like I mean, if you drive around, I know in my community, I'm sure where you are, you think they're building apartments, then I realize they're building those storage units, right? Because people have so much stuff that they're moving it into storage units and they keep building storage units for us to put all our stuff in. And so this is why people are completely overwhelmed and why there's this growing need for professional photo organizers. So people hire us for many reasons. One is their photos maybe are a mess. They have thousands of photos on their phone and they realize, that's where all my photos are. And I could lose my phone. I could drop it in, water and things like that. I haven't backed it up. This is one that people though wonder, do people really care about my family photos? And I always say, absolutely, they do want access to those photos. They just don't want all of them. They don't want that garage full of photos or videos or memorabilia. They want the ones that matter. Many people, like I mentioned, have old home movies that they haven't seen in decades. This is becoming, unfortunately, increasingly common, right? We have floods, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes. Weather extremes is no longer a matter of if there's going to be a weather extreme. It's just a matter of when that weather extreme is coming to your neighborhood, right? And what's at risk when those things happen is usually our photos, the things that we care most about, right? That when homes are destroyed or apartments or things like that. Or hard drives crash and you realize that, wow, I could lose everything. Another key moment when people hire a professional or they realize they need help is when somebody's been diagnosed with early stages of dementia, or you realize, wow, those stories that I meant to ask my parents or my grandparents, I need to hurry up and start to get those stories because, or a terminal illness, right? And people realize, wow, time is short. And it goes on and on, right? So just so you don't think you're alone, I wanted to share a story of my why. And I recently hired a professional photo organizer to do my own photos. And then in November, I lost my little rescue Chihuahua. His name was Wiley, and he was old. And he and I had a deep connection that began the day I rescued him from a busy highway exit ramp. And I was heartbroken. And I know any animal lovers in here could probably relate. I also knew about a photo organizer and her business, Once Upon a Tale Photo Books. I had watched her journey through discovering the photo manager, starting a business, and finding her niche. And I knew that I would call her someday because this dog was the one dog I cared about, and I wanted to create a special book. What I didn't know, and this is what I want you to know about why working with a photo manager can be so powerful, is what I would learn about myself in the process. She took the time to interview me and ask me quite a few questions. And before I knew it, I started talking about my childhood dogs and my brother who passed away too young and his dog, and my sister and her dogs. And I found, I sent her all the pictures I had of dogs, which you can do easily through, AI today. And she started saying, well, you have a lot of pictures of other people's dogs in your collection. Who are all these other dogs? And before I knew it, I ended up getting back a beautiful photo book of the animals of my life. And we incorporated my kids' stories and then my parents. And so that's an example, I think, hopefully that you can resonate with about when we talk about organizing photos. We're not really just talking about organization, right? That's a means to an end. There's a reason why we want to have our photos and videos organized and documented. It's because there's a legacy piece that happens when we go through that process. And so it can be really helpful to have somebody else take a look at what you've collected because they can come at it with a different mindset. So here are some examples of how professional photo managers help clients, right? They help them with their boxes of organized printed photos. Most people have inherited boxes of photos, and this work can be done in person with a client, or often it's done back in the office space where a photo organizer will pick up clients' boxes of photos. We have many documentations on our private Facebook group of members showing their cars packed to the gills with, boxes of photos. And people always wonder, well, how in the world can somebody organize somebody else's photos? I can promise you it's not that hard. It is a passion that many people have, and it's like unraveling a puzzle. And it's a lot easier than people can imagine that it is. Another ways that professionals help is they also do a lot of, one of the most common jobs for photo organizers is scanning. Digitizing a printed photo provides a digital backup copy. It helps ensure that family photos are safe and accessible for future generation. And so this is a wonderful picture of one of our members, Sharon, using camera scanning, where she's looking, you could tell she's going to be scanning a photo using a camera scanning process. And a lot of times people don't want to box up all their photos and send them away to a stranger, or, they get worried it's going to be lost in the mail. So a lot of our members offer pickup and delivery. They do what we call a white glove service, where they really take the time to clean the photos before they're scanned. So there's a whole process that really makes a difference when you're working with a professional on getting your photos scanned. So digital photo organizing is also one of the fastest growing services that professionals provide because of just how big this problem has become, like we mentioned. One of our members, Jordan Babion, loved to say that the average family now has the same number of digital assets a small business did a few years ago. They just don't realize it yet. In fact, because we're the most photographed generation in history, we're most at risk of losing that photo heritage. Because who can possibly sort through the millions of screenshots, selfies, and find the few that really matter? And that's a perfect example of where a professional steps in by consolidating everything, removing the duplicates, adding keywords, creating a backup, and recommending a cloud service or an online gallery. Because once that is done, then you can go to the best part, which is what I showed you, like for me, like a photo album. But also there's so many more things you can do with your photos once you have them in a format that you can access them. Video slideshows, online photo galleries, photo calendars, GIFs. I mean, the possibilities are endless once you have taken the time to get those photos in some kind of organized format. So those are just some of the services that many professional photo organizers offer, but it keeps growing. Many of them do home movie conversion, genealogy research, video montages for special events. Many focus on large family archives, and so they can help work with entire families in getting things together and making sure they get those stories. One of our members is working with the Junior Women's League in Miami to help them prepare for their 50th anniversary. So it goes on and on, because not only do families have large photo collections, but so do businesses. So as you can see, there's a huge and growing need, and that's why Mylio has teamed up with us, the professional photo managers, and they offer a certification program. So members of the photo managers go through a certification with Mylio, where they really learn how to use, they learn Mylio, they work closely with the Mylio team. And once they pass through that, then they are considered, they are then somebody that you can hire through Mylio for a 3-hour session. So I put up a QR code here, so you can, if you're interested in purchasing that, you can do that by going to their website and filling this out. So we have found this to be a great asset for the Mylio community. If you're finding yourself just stuck, or maybe you just would really like to talk to somebody through a process, this is what this is. There's nothing better with technology, I think, than having somebody hold your hand through the process, right? Because technology can be overwhelming, or a lot of times you're busy, you're sitting down, you think, oh, I should understand this, I should know this, and then somehow you get stuck. You're not alone in that feeling. And so that's where this concierge service, the idea of somebody coming alongside you to help you, has come from. And so we've been thrilled to partner with Mylio. And some of those folks are here on this call today. So again, you can scan that QR code, and I'll continue on here and tell you some tips about photo organizing, though, just because we want to make sure that you know that. But before I do, I did ask our photo managers what their superpower was. I think it was in one of the descriptions of this webinar that can photo managers, are they superhumans, right? How can they do this? So I put this out on our Facebook group, and I asked some of our members, well, what would you say when people ask you that question? So Halle, who's also a certified Mylio person, said our superpower is we are problem solving a very complex puzzle. Kristen, who owns Clicking with Kristen, said, we have a gift, I feel, of helping people celebrate their memories in different ways. We're sentimental yet creative, and we help guide people by reminding them the how and why and what to save in special ways to make sure their stories are not forgotten. Kimberly, who owns Visual Story Media, said, ours is not a profession, it's a calling. We are bound together by a common person and a deep-seated commitment to helping others. And Ellen, who's in the Netherlands, said, superhumans, yes. It has been said already. We can solve problems, untangle brain knots, and come to rescue to save memories. Now, we have many men as well, but I realized when I did that, we had all pictures of women, but we also have men as well. So now you can also organize your own photos. And I asked 2 professionals who are also certified Mylio experts what their advice is if somebody came to them and said they had 100,000 digital photos. So this is what Allison Friedman of Arrange Wander Focus said to me. She said, figuring out how to organize your photo library can be overwhelming. Likely you have photos in your phone, in the iCloud, in Google, on another app, plus all the other places you've been stashing them away over the years. The best place to start is, number 1, just identify where they are and what your final goal would be. Is your goal to create a legacy collection to pass down to your children? Do you have a specific project in mind? Or do you simply want to be able to find what you want when you want it? Once you know where your photos are and what your goal is, then you start to make a plan to gather them all into one place, whether it be 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. The process is the same. You gather them into one place, you remove the duplicates and junk, you put them in a place that suits your needs, and you back them up. Professional photo organizers have the knowledge and tools to help you do this yourself or to do it for you. And like I mentioned, Allison is a certified Mylio professional, so she will use Mylio with you in this process of going through all of those steps. I asked the same question of Susan Wallach, who's also owner of Save a Memory, and she's also a certified Mylio consultant or concierge. And she said, if you want to use Mylio for your photo library, you want to collect all your digital files from all the different locations. Again, picture folders, cloud backup, photo libraries, and put them into the main media folder on an external hard drive for deduping, she suggested first. Then remove the duplicates using a program like Photo Sweeper for Mac or something similar for PC, and then import them into Mylio. Once that is complete, import the images by adding a new folder into a new Mylio Photos account. Once they're all in Mylio, set Mylio with the task to begin backing up their vault into a vault and then begin to organize them based on your goals. She knew also this is a very high level explanation, but this is the workflow that I always recommend. So let's review. And if I was doing this webinar, which I do many times about, 5 tips to getting your photos organized, or 5, these are the steps that all professionals use. We first say you need to have a goal. You need to know what it is that you want to accomplish. It just saying you want all your photos organized is like, that's a pretty big goal, right? Of course, we all feel that way, right? But again, is there a special project that you want? What's the end goal so that you can stay on task? Then you need to gather everything into one place and inventory what you have. And so that I have 3 hard drives, 4 iPhones, 5 boxes of photos, 7 blue albums, 10, and document that, because even if that's all you do, that's a big step. And if something happens to you, you can keep that in a safe place and tell your family members, this is where all our photo assets and memory assets exist. It's also a great way to get a handle on what happens if there's ever I mentioned, a weather disaster, what you need to grab on your way out the door. Once you do the goal and the collecting, though, then the next step is the sorting, which is the curating, right? And decide if it's going to be based on location, date range, events, people's names, right? As you go, you want to discard duplicates and blurry photos. This is when you're dealing with analog, and you want to delete photos, digital photos that you don't care about. And then it's critical that you digitize and scan those printed photos so that you have that digital backup copy. And then you can do that yourself, obviously, or hire a pro. And then you want to get everything into a digital photo hub where you're backing it up. And then the final step is what we call the share, right? Which is the funnest part, and why we're really all doing this, right? It's really because we want to pass these stories down to the next generation, or even for ourselves, just our own enjoyment. I love looking at my book, and it's just a funny thing. I never knew how much I'd love looking at books of my pets, even though, and it's nice that my children are in there too, because I do like looking at photos of them when they were younger. So I know we just covered a lot of ground. If there's questions, I hope that you're putting them in the chat, both or the Q&A, please. I know that if there's Mylio specific technical questions, we got a great Mylio team answered. We also have Isabel here answering from the photo managers. But every year, I wanted to tell you, we host an annual virtual educational conference where we have over 20 educational breakouts for people. We have curated the top 8 classes just for people that aren't professionals, because we know we have a lot of information that people that don't want to do this for a living are interested in. And you can attend any of those. You can pick one of those breakouts and attend our keynote speakers and network with our members and meet our exhibitors, where you'll meet a lot of really cool companies, of which Mylio is one, for just $49. Some of the topics include using archival principles for family media collection, or how about this one? Creative ways to celebrate a person's life before and after they die. There's a class you can take on scanning and archiving, or even understanding resolution when scanning photos, because what's 300 DPI mean compared to 600 DPI? It's a great course on that. So again, there's the QR code. You're welcome to join us for just $49. And then if you want to get your own photos organized and you'd want to maybe think about doing this as a career, we have what we call the Photo Manager and Training Program. It includes on-demand courses on printed and digital photo organizing, scanning, all sorts of, it's a whole year program with lots of support. So again, there's information about that. You can scan that QR code. And so last of all, again, you can sign up for the Mylio 3 hours of service. You can join our 1 year, or if you just want tips and things, I do a weekly newsletter. It's called Cathy's Picks. It's every Friday. I have all sorts of fun information in there, from how to take better photos during different holidays to really cool inspirational stories, and then always photo tips that people are really interested in. So that is the conclusion here. And now I am we had pre-pulled the names of 20 people. We didn't put your last name here because we wanted to honor your privacy, but we randomly chose from over 300 or 400 people that had registered for this webinar. And so you will be getting an email from us if you're here live. If you're not, we're still going to be sending them an email, and we'll be getting your mailing address, because we will mail you a hard copy of my book, Photo Organizing Made Easy. And I think you'll really enjoy it. It's been out for many years. I get it's our second edition. We do have a whole second edition, and where we talk a lot about digital photos as well. And so hopefully your name is on here, and we're thrilled to share with you this gift. So I am going to stop sharing my screen now and come off, turn my video back on. Whoops. Okay. And see if we have questions or
We
different.
do have a couple questions, but first of all, congratulations to the winners. That's very exciting, and thank you, Cathi. I'm sure that's an awesome book. Al is asking, what equipment do you recommend to digitize physical photos or pictures?
Yeah, that's it. It depends on how many photos that you have. If you, we recommend a flatbed scanner if you're just getting started. The Epson V600 is a great flatbed scanner to get started with, or the Epson Fast Photo. A lot of people like, there is some limitations to that. That's going to be for your, 4x6s, maybe up to 5x7s, and it does it through a feeder. What's nice about the flatbed, it can take more time. It can be a little more tedious, but it allows you to scan multiple different sizes and things. And then if you have a lot of photos that you really want to scan in slides and negatives, and camera scanning can be a great way to scan photo. Well, you're actually not scanning, but used to do that. That requires a setup of equipment and things like that. So, but those are the three options that you have out there if you're not going to have somebody do it for you.
Great. Okay, and Don is asking a question. I've been running a small business scanning photos, negatives, slides, and converting VHS videos and 8mm home movies for clients. How do I get connected with the photo managers?
Oh, that's great. Go to the photomanagers.com and you can join. We have lots of members who do that. And what you'll find is a really engaged, supportive community. We do a lot of marketing and outreach. We have a lot of discounts from major companies like Mylio, where we partner with lots of different companies and things. So we know there's lots of people like you out there that don't know about us, and are usually pretty excited to find a really engaged community that will welcome you to the table.
Great. Let's see here. Looks like we have one more question from Chris. I work with several clients to help them catalog, organize their photos. One of them is asking for something akin to a family tree. Is there a native way, oh, this is in Mylio, to create a photographic family tree, a third-party plugin template that can do such a thing? I think Angela or JC maybe can answer that as well, if you don't mind. Let's see.
So
Yes,
I can, or
go ahead,
JC, go ahead.
No, you go. No, you started first.
So there isn't a way to create a family tree, a visual family tree in Mylio. If you're working with Family Search, you can upload your stuff to Family Search. You can view the family tree there. You can add the family tree unique ID, the Family Search ID to Mylio and have that information go back and forth. But there is no native way in Mylio to create a visual family tree. Cathi, do you have any other suggestions for products for somebody who might want to do that in conjunction with working with Mylio?
Oh, I am sure there are products out there. I wonder if anybody in our community knows off the top of their head. I would, so not off the top of my head, but I am sure that somebody has created that product. It's just, yeah.
okay.
And I do see that a couple people have their hands raised. If you guys want to go ahead and post your questions into that Q&A pod. That way we can go ahead and get those answered. That'd be awesome.
And we have a question from Arden, who's asking, how does one find a photo manager locally so that I may work in person with this person? I enjoyed a chat I had with Allison Friedman and would love to work with her, but we are in different parts of the country, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you go to the photomanagers.com website and you go to Find a Pro, those are our certified photo managers. So they actually go through a whole training process. They document a process from a client project from start to finish. We review that. They give us references. We check their references. And then they go through an interview with me. Like I just mentioned, I just finished that with a woman from Portugal, our first, and before they're considered certified. So they've been vetted, so you can be confident. And then if there's nobody in your really close geographic area, there is many much bigger needs for professional photo managers than there are in the world yet. So there is a chance that there might not be somebody in your area.
Okay, great. And then Theo from Mylio just put a little note here. Just reminding everybody that in Mylio, you can attach relationships to people. So when you send them up to Family Search, for example, they automatically show up in the tree there. So that was a little note from him. Let's see if we've got any more questions for Cathi. Okay, how about how do you get certified? From Lynn.
Yeah, well, if you become a member, join the photo managers. It's included with your membership. We have a course that you go through. It doesn't take that long to go through. We really teach best practices. We also have a lot of courses on how to organize digital photos, printed photos as a professional, not as a consumer themselves. But once you go through the documentation, then we walk you through the whole process, and then you document a process from start to finish. If you've already been doing this and you have a client project you've already worked on, we will count that, but we do check your references. And so we have a whole way that we walk you through that process. And then schedule an interview with me, then you get a badge, we turn you on in our search directory, and you join the hundreds and hundreds of other certified photo managers.
That's great. Fatima's asking, I just joined. How do Pro help me organize my digital photos? I have over 80,000 photos and videos. Do they just teach me what to do, or do they do the organizing themselves remotely?
I think with the concierge service, where if you bought the 3 hours of time, they'll connect you with a professional. And then I think based on your goals, I don't know if they could do all of that probably in 3 hours, but they would walk you through the process, and then you can always do additional things. But they would probably use the process that we just talked about, where they would make sure that everything is one pace, make sure that things are deduplicated, understand what your goals and needs are, and then do that process for you.
Great. Isabel's posted a few links in the chat for you folks to join their photo manager and training program, and also working with professional photo manager. She's got a link in there as well. Okay, do we have any other questions for Cathi? We've got her here. Now's your chance. Okay.
Jennifer asked a good question. Looking at the photo manager's website, will there be designation if they are Mylio certified? We do. We have a Mylio certification badge, and Isabel is answering that. She manages our back end of our website too. She's explaining that.
How about Sharon's question? How does it work to get everything back and forth to a photo manager who is not near you?
There's a number of ways that professionals do that. When I personally hired somebody to do my photos, Holly came in, we gathered everything, and I purchased a 2 terabyte external hard drive, and I mailed her my external hard drive, and we never did anything in person. That's one option. Also, they use TeamViewer, and where people can go in and to your computer when you give them permission, and then they can walk you through the process of, the first thing you're going to do is back everything up. You're going to find out where everything is, and then you're going to back it up onto an external hard drive. That's the number one process that happens. And so many people work with clients all over the world.
Great. Okay. Well, that may be our last question. Cathi, I want to thank you very much for this great presentation today. And thanks everybody for joining us. I hope that you got some information. And please join the photo managers. Also take a look at the concierge plans from Mylio Photos so that we can help you out. Any last words, Cathi, to the group here?
I'm a bit confused. Wait, but I don't know what she's confused about. You can always reach out to us. Again, look in the chat. She's posting some things. If you have any further questions, you can email. I'm sure reach out to the Mylio team, but you can also reach out to support@thephotomanagers.com. And yeah, Isabel put there, we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And yeah, getting rid of duplicates, there's, I'm sure Mylio has their own process for that, but there's also other things that you can do. So,
okay.
But thank you, everybody. We hope you, consider hiring a professional, becoming a professional, or doing it yourself. Because remember, it's really about taking the time to tell your story. It matters. And it's really a joy to do it, and it's and help other people do that as well. So
great. Okay, Cathi, thank you so much. Thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.